This keeps coming up. Whisper it now, capital gains tax. Jacinda Ardern ruled it out when she was Prime Minister, saying there was no mandate to implement one. Chris Hipkins ruled it out before the last election. But according to an op-ed piece by Vernon Small in the Post, Labour's Policy Council has now endorsed a capital gains tax. It's according to Vernon Small. What's changed, and will Labour, as Small suggests, come to regret it? Poto, you first. Does this reflect what, I don't know, maybe you've heard or observed? Will Labour be seriously considering a capital gains tax?
Well, I have to say, Wallace, it was seriously triggering, because I can remember some of the conversations I had as a very new MP when we were going into the 2014 campaign about CGT.
Tell us.
And I don't know if you recall David Cunliffe's famous, it was actually John Key, the famous "Show me the money" moment at one of the political debates. Capital gains tax and wealth tax has been bouncing around as an issue right from the last election. And thinking about this, it's kind of the idea whose time has come, because when I think about capital gains tax as a brand new MP going into that 2014 campaign, and how one of the first things that I was asked at a housing forum was, why were we going after the mum and dad landlords? And I knew at that stage it wasn't going to go well. I think if this is going to become part of the tax platform for Labour, and nothing is confirmed until the manifesto comes out, and I know Chris Hipkins has said that they're not confirming their the tax policy until later in the year, but that there is a bit of a history with Labour and CGT, and it will be absolutely critical that if this is something they run with, that they get the messaging right, because it plays into a lot of the negative narrative of tax and spend, and playing into, investment in property has been the way that many people have, looked after in terms of their retirement savings, for example. So it's going to be a difficult thing for them to get the narrative exactly right, up against what is quite a sexy policy around taxing the super wealthy, right? And so, I think if they do go down this line, it is something they're going to have to really step through. And think
it's going to be very
carefully.
interesting, because there are missteps. I think that was Phil Goff and Show Me the Money. That
could be
but
Phil Goff.
David Cunliffe, and actually there's a real history. This is why I'm so interested in the capital gains tax, because again, just looking at Simon Wilson's speech, he said at the end of the day, his view, the economy is actually housing with bits added on, unlike some other countries. So at some stage there will have to be a serious conversation about a capital gains tax, but how to sell it and whether or not that'll be the death knell for Labour.
Well, I just think that Labour should just get on and decide their policy and stop teasing us over this, frankly. Because,
where is it?
Because, you see, Labour will not win an election on a tax policy. So, yes, they do have to do it and get the messaging right. But what they really need to be messaging about is what they want it for. What do they want that income for? What do they want to achieve in terms of prosperity for working middle-income New Zealanders? That's what really counts. So, okay, go ahead and have your tax policy, get it over and done with, and don't make such a big issue of it. Don't drag it out.
Well, Guyon, what do you think? Do you think that if Labour announce a capital gains tax, will Chris Luxon be rubbing his hands with glee?
He will be, absolutely. They are lying in wait for this. They will see this as a major present for them, big time. They'll see this as a lob because, as Poto said, it really plays into a lot of negative perceptions of Labour, that it can't run an economy, that it wants to tax you, that it's going to just sort of, waste the money away. So Labour is going to have to be very careful about this. And I agree with Grant that they really have to show what you would get for the money that they would gain from this. So it has to be part of a bigger suite of policies and a bigger vision. Yeah, it's bedevilled Labor for more than a decade, hasn't it, this policy?
It has, and I think we've over intellectualised a lot of it. We've got to make it absolutely simple to and digestible for the public to understand.
That was one of the big problems, wasn't it, Poto, with the 2011 policy, because Key and was up against Gough, and he was saying, "Oh, tell me the first year that your policy gets money, or if I had an investment property."
Right.
He went to all these scenarios, and Gough, bless him, he didn't know all the details.
It was a bit of a masterclass on Key.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And Key obviously knew the economy very well, and he knew the subject very well. But the one thing I am getting at here is it's got to be simple. Labor could, for example, say it's only going to be on investment properties, not your stamp collection or your vinyl collection or any other assets that grow. Now, because these things get complex, and in an election campaign, you've got journalists and other politicians and your enemies all trying to pick holes in it. And if you look like you don't know what you're doing with the economy, that's where the fiscal hole sort of argument comes in, and you get torpedoed and confidence just plummets. So they need to be really clear and simple about how it's going to work, in my view. And to Grant's point, they have to show you what you get for your money.